Welcome to the Jehovih Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
Where the spirits dance all night, the creation shines bright, guiding us with all their might. Trumpets sound across the sky as we raise our voices high, praising the one most high under the Oaspi's watchful eye. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator again we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. Harmony in every beat, our faith is concrete. Through the pages of the Oaspy, ancient wisdom on display, teaching us the righteous way, leading us to a brighter day. With each trumpet blast, we're reminded of the past and the love that will ever last in this divine contrast. United in spirit, we uplift and hear it. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator again we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone. We sing songs of love and grace in this sacred space. For the Creator gang we embrace, their wisdom we chase, with trumpets playing in tune under the silvery moon. We dance until the morning sun, this connection never undone.
Welcome back. It's your hostess with the mostest, burning like toast, is Cosmon Cal, checking back in from Ethereum, man. Hey, just took off my Ethereum driving gloves. You dig what I'm talking about? And my Ethereum goggles. You dig what I'm saying? Stepping about the big boy Otavan back down here in the ooze. Hey, this is Jehovih Chronicles number 174. We're moving quickly, y'all. Descriptions of the Aboriginals of America. Descriptions of the Aboriginals of America. So in this episode of Jehovih Chronicles, we're going to be looking at historic depictions of Aboriginals of America and who can we tie these people to genetically, ethnically, culturally, and eventually genealogically to today. Who are the Aboriginals of America. Let's go get some of their depictions. Now, when this first source, let's go back into the 19th century, right? This is an inquiry into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America. The distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America, written by Samuel G. Morton, MD, second edition, written in published, in 1844. Morton goes on to give his eyewitness account of the physical characteristics of the Aboriginals of America. Let's see what he says. Let's see if we can blow this up a little bit for everybody, right? He says, it is an adage, an old saying, right, among travelers, that he who has seen one tribe of Indians has seen them all. So much do the individuals of this race, what race? The Aboriginal Americans, resemble each other, notwithstanding their immense geographical distribution and those differences of climate which embrace the extremes of heat and cold. So what he's explaining is, he's saying there's an old saying that if you've seen one Indian tribe, you didn't see them all, generally because they favor each other, right? Not that there isn't differences, but they generally look one way, right? These are pre-Columbian Indians and after contact Indians, or after colonization Indians, being spoke about firsthand from eyewitnesses who were there, right? And he also goes on to say that the differences that do occur are not generally because of where they are in America or because of the climate of where they are in America. So, irregardless of heat or cold or position on a map, doesn't much differ the phenotype of the Aboriginal American. He says the half-clad Fuegan. Fuegans are those who are at the bottom of the map in like Chile, Argentina. These are the people who touch onto the Arctic Sea. Those people at the end of South America. These are called Fuegans. The half-clad Fuegan, shrieking from his dreary winter, has the same characteristic lineaments, though in an exaggerated degree, as the Indians of the tropical plains. And these again resemble the tribes which inhabit the region west of the Rocky Mountains. Those of the Great Valley of the Mississippi, and those again which skirt the Eskimo on the north, right? So he left the Eskimo out, which was interesting. He said everybody that's around the Eskimo, but left him out, making a distinction of these people. Now, all possess alike the long, lank, black hair. Does that mean all of them had long, lank, black hair? No, but it is a general phenological type of the American Indian and would be found in every single tribe, right? Irregardless of skin color, you're going to find long, lank, black hair. You're also going to find the brown or cinnamon colored skin. Look at that. Funny, the people who are called Native Americans today do not have brown nor cinnamon colored skin. You can look at any reservation today. None of them have brown or cinnamon colored skin. They would generally have the heavy brow, the dull, sleepy eye, the full and compressed lips, and the salient but dilated nose. Now, when you type those things into Google and you ask for a pic, right? I thought this was interesting that we're looking for depictions of the Aboriginal Americans. And when you're making a comparison, right, to what we would commonly look for today in the people stock using these descriptive terms, right? When I brought that up, look at what it brought me to in Pinterest, right? Look what it brought me to in Pinterest. Now remember, we use the definitions given to Aboriginal Americans, and it brought us to Americans, right? But it's not who you thought it was, not who they taught us it was. The Negro is the Aboriginal of America. He's the Indian. He has the phenotypical look described by Morton. This is just what I put in. Funny, they got a book right here, right, called Indians in Black. Written by William Loren Katz. Right? This is the hidden heritage of Indians and blacks. What if the blacks are the Indians? Could it just be that simple? And we're finding out that it is. Look. What did he say? All alike possess the long, lank, black hair, the brown, cinnamon-colored skin, the heavy brow, the dull, sleepy eye, the full lips, and the salient but dilated nose. The long, lank, black hair. The brown or cinnamon colored skin. The full lip. The salient but dilated nose. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm going to point to what they say Aboriginals look like. I want y'all to get all the phenotypes in. Then we're going to cross-reference objectively with people on Earth today, and you guess. You tell for yourself the description of the Aboriginals of America and who they are today. Long, black, lank hair, the full but compressed lip. Look who comes up. Salient but dilated nose. Salient but dilated. Salient but dilated. Salient but dilated. Brown, cinnamon tone. Full lips. Full lips. Full lips. Full lips. Full lips. Not full lips. Full lips. Right? We just making the connections. Right? Let's go on and see what else he said. These traits, moreover, are equally common to the savage and the civilized nations, whether they inhabit the margins of rivers and feed on fish, or rove the forest and subsist on the spoils of the chase. It cannot be questioned. It cannot be questioned that the physical diversities do occur, equally singular and inexplicable, as seen in different shades of color, varying from the fair tint to a complexion almost black. So the description of the Aboriginal American goes from fair to almost black. Right? He got long, black, lank hair. He got that brown, cinnamon skin tone. He got the full compressed lips, the dilated but salient nose, the sleepy eye, so-called. And we just find out that he comes in varying colors, from a fair tint to a complexion almost black. From a fair tint to a complexion almost black. From a fair tint, fair tint look, still a nigga, fair tint to almost black. Almost black. Almost black. These are Americans, y'all. Funny, this brother looked just like the people on the Bunham Park murals of the Mayans. Said they are varying from a fair tint to a complexion almost black, and this too under circumstances in which climate can have little or no influence. So here seeing diversified people everywhere on the continent. Skin color and climate had nothing to do with each other, but yet he is describing all these people as Aboriginal Americans. So also in reference to stature, the differences are remarkable in entire tribes, which moreover are geographically proximate to each other. So he's seeing very tall people and very short people all in the same tribes. These facts, however, are mere exceptions to a general rule and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is as undeviatingly characteristic as that of the Negro. So not only is he saying that the Negro generally looks alike, he's saying that the Indian, generally all looks alike. And as from the description, we see that the Indians look like Negroes. Let that sink in. For whether we see him in the athletic Carib, here goes some modern Carib Indians from the Garifuna. Shout out to my brother Thomas from the Garifuna tribe. He says, whether we see them, he say, which is undeviatedly characteristic for whether we see him in the athletic Carib, for whether we see him in the athletic Carib or the stunted Kema. Now, mind you, these are the Kema people and their modern phenotypes today in Venezuela. Which is as undeviatingly characteristic, right? And whether we see him as the Carib or the stunted Kema or in the dark California. This is a picture from 1860, right? Of a group of Indians called Diggers. These are West Coast California Indians, called Diggers. So whether you see it in the Carib or the Kema of modern Colombian Venezuela, the dark Californians, or the fair Baroa. He is still an Indian. The fair Baroa are what you would call Baria, right? And Baria are Siouan or admixed, meaning they are admixed with these Negro stocks and these Mongoloidal stocks produce what he calls a Baroa or Baria. And this is a modern representation of what a Baroa or Baria is, and they would be the Blackfoot tribe of the Canadian West. For whether we see him in the athletic Carib, the stunted Kema, in the dark Californian, or the fair Baroa, he is still an Indian and cannot be mistaken for any other race. Show y'all something. I want to show y'all something real quick. Remember, they said the stunted Kema, meaning that the Kema were probably a short people, right? Kema is like a language group, right? It's not actually who the people are. So who are the people, right, who speak the ancient Kema? Because when you look this up, it's going to say that the language is extinct. But how could that be? And the people aren't extinct, right? So there must have been some type of language transfer and also cultural transfer. But let me show you some modern day Kema, which are called the Yupa, right? The Yupa people, right? I just want you to get a look at their phenotypes. These are indigenous people of Venezuela. I want you to keep in mind that Venezuela is in America, ancient Guatemala, the land of the 4 tribes. I want you to look at these people, right? He is telling you from the Carib to the Cayman, who are these people, the Yupa, right? From the Black Californians all the way up to the people in Canada, they are all the same people. But look at the phenotype today. Remember, we are describing and giving descriptions of the Aboriginals of America. Venezuela is in America, correct? But while we were building on California Indians, I wanted to bring out some of this other information, right? Giving a description of these Californian tribes, right? In colonial times, right? Now, this is the California Indians. The state of California was home to more than 100 tribes of Paleo-Americans or Black tribes. And listen, Native Americans, which are of Mongol extraction. So they're making a distinction. There are Paleo-Americans that are what you would call Black tribes, and that there were Native Americans, right? Or those who are Mongol extraction, like we see them today. So if the Native Americans have always been here, or the Native Americans been here for a while, right? What about the people who were here before them? We see that they are the Black tribes. Everybody that they misnomer as Negro, Black, colored, freedman, Indian not taxed. These are your Paleo-American tribes who predate Native Americans. Now, so you got in America a Paleo-American stock. We're going to call that Algonquin. And we got a Native Mongol tribe. We call that Aleut, Inuit, and Iroquois, right? Mongoloid, right? You can call it also, just to be simple, Dene, right? But to get even simpler, we can go Algonquin, Iroquois, and then you got the mixes between these types of people, right? Between the Paleo-Americans and the Native Americans. These people would be called Siouan, also called Hurons, and would be a mixed group, which is what Siouan means. And it just depends on where the people are raised and what group. Depends on if you're a Native American or a Paleo-American. But one great thing you got to remember, the Native Americans, all of them, don't matter where they come from or where they came from, somewhere else. They migrated to America. They are not indigenous to America. Yet the Paleo-Americans, the Blacks in America, are indigenous to America. Let's take a look at the Ohlone people. The Ohlone people, also known as the Costanoans, are a Native American people of the central and northern California coast. When Spanish explorers, missionaries arrived in the late 18th century, the Ohlone inhabited the area along the coast from San Francisco Bay through Monterey Bay to the lower Salinas Valley. At that time, they spoke a variety of languages. The Ohlone languages belonging to the Costanoan subfamily of the Utes language family, which itself belongs to the proposed Penutian language phylum. The term Ohlone has been used in place of Costanoan since the 1970s by some descendant groups and by most ethnographers, historians, and writers of popular literature. In pre-colonial times, the Ohlone lived in more than 50 distinct landholding groups and did not view themselves as a distinct group. They lived by hunting and fishing and gathering in the typical ethnographic California pattern. The members of these various bands interacted freely with one another as they built friendships and marriages, traded tools and other necessities, and partook in cultural practices. The Ohlone people practiced the Kushu religion before the Spanish came. The Northern California region was one of the most densely populated regions of north of Mexico. However, in the years 1769 to 1833, the Spanish missions in California had a devastating effect on the Ohlone culture. The Ohlone population declined steeply during that period. That's a period of 64 years, 74 years. The Ohlone living today belong to one or another of a member of geographically distinct groups, most but not all in their original home territory. The Muwekma Ohlone tribe is members from around the San Francisco Bay Area and is composed of descendants of the Ohlones, Costanoans from the San Jose, Santa Clara, and San Francisco missions. The Ohlone Costanoan Esselen Nation, consisting of descendants of intermarried Rumsen Costanoans and Esselen speakers of Mission San Carlos Borromeo, are centered at Monterey. The Amamutsen tribe are descendants of Mutsun Costanoan speakers of Mission San Juan Bautista, inland from Monterey Bay. Most members of another group of Rumsian language descendants from the Mission San Carlos and the Costanoan Rumsian Carmel tribe of Pomona and Chino now live in Southern California. These groups and others with smaller memberships, see groups listed under the heading, are separately petitioning the federal government for tribal recognition. What about Luis Choriz, 1795 to 1828. He didn't live that long. He died at 33. He was a famous German-Russian painter and explorer. He was one of the first sketch artists for expedition research. Louis Choriz, who was a Russian of German stock, was born in Yekaterinoslav, now Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine, on March 22nd, 1795. He visited the Pacific and the west coast of North America in 1816 on board the Rurik, being attached in the capacity of artist to the Romanzov expedition under the command of Lieutenant Otto von Kotzebue, sent out for the purpose of exploring a northwest passage. Chorus is said to have painted nature as he found it. The essence of his art is truth, a fresh, vigorous view of life, and an originality in portrayal. The accompanying illustrations may therefore be looked upon as faithfully representing the subjects treated by the artist. After the voyage of the Rurik, Chorus went to Paris, where he issued a portfolio of his drawings in lithographic reproduction and studied in the ateliers of Gerard and Renaud. Chorus worked extensively in pastels. He documented the Ohlone people in the Mission of San Francisco, California in 1816. Let's look at these people in 1816. It's 200 years ago now. Look at these people. Are there people in America who look like this? Funny, the people who are in America today who look like this are not called Native Americans. Actually, the people who they call Native Americans look nothing like the Ohlone, who we know are Aboriginal. But remember, we just brought this out. There's a difference between a PALEOAMERICAN from a black tribe and a Native American who migrated here from Mongol extraction. So these people would look like one of the quote unquote black tribes, the copper colored tribes, right? This is Indians hunting in the Bay of San Francisco, California, engraved by John Augustine Franklin from Picturesque Voyages Around the World by Louis Chauvier. Charisse, some of them paintings he had. What else he paint? Look at this. These are the Ohlone Indians in California. Check them out. You can see some people got the Mongoloidal mix, but look at this. Look at the Ohlone. These Ohlones too. Don't let that color fool you. These are Indians playing the game at a California mission by Louis Chauvier. Charisse. Check it out. Look for yourself. I want y'all to notice something. Look, his hands and his feet are regular. So this is paint. Right? It's not like they don't have that color. Look right here. Look right here. They got the color. They're producing the color. So he painted his whole body like that. Under that, look, under all this paint, he they color. Under this paint right here that's on her face, she this color, like his leg, like her arm. Same thing with him. So it's some sort of costume. But I want you to look at the phenotype of the hair. Long, black, coarse. Long, black, lank. Copper color, cinnamon. These are who? The Ohlone people. These are California Indians. Remember, this is a description of the Aboriginal American. These are just some of them on the West Coast. The Ohlone people performing a ceremonial dance. So this explains why he would have this get up on. Here goes some of the Ohlones. You can tell the nigger stocks and that they mix Mongol stocks. Mm-hmm. These are just some of the Indians by the Bay of San Francisco by Louis Sharif, 1816. Take a look at that. This is an Ohlone Indian. Look at the phenotype. He said, this is the ancient, now extinct Ohlone people of California, showed clear phenotype affinity with certain modern African tribes. He's showing a phenotypical affinity. He's saying this dude would look like this today. And this dude would have looked like this in 1816. I can see it. This is Dutch painter Peter Schenk, painting of the Yamasee War. The full title translated from the Dutch reads, "The gruesome attack of the Indians on the English in Carolina, West Indies, April 19, 1715. This is the Yamasee War. Look at the Yamasees. We know these is the English in the red. Who is this guy? Laid out dead with the Indian garb on. Who is this guy? It's an Indian. Why they look like niggas? Remember, these are the Yamasee coming up against the English. 1715 Yamasee Wars. You're looking for that depiction. All right, let's get into the Yamasee War. I say Yamasee. Some people say Yamasee. The Yamasee Indians were part of the Muskogean language group. Their traditional homelands lay in present-day northern Florida and southern Georgia. The advent of the Spanish in the late 16th century forced the Yamasee to migrate north into what would become South Carolina. Relations between the tribe, and English settlers in that region were generally positive during the latter half of the 17th century or 1600s. Not surprisingly, problems between the races developed. The continuing influx of white settlers, dodged the hijack, put pressure on Indian agriculture and hunting lands. The relationship was further complicated in that the tribe had become dependent upon English firearms and other manufactured items and had incurred a large debt, typically payable in deer skins. White fur traders acted on their displeasure by enslaving a number of Yamasee women and children to cover portions of the outstanding debt. In spring of 1715, the Yamasee formed a confederation with other tribes, struck at the white settlements in South Carolina. Several hundred settlers were killed, homes burned, and livestock slaughtered. Frontier regions were emptied. Some fled to the relative safety of North Carolina, and others pushed on to even more secure Virginia. Charleston also received large numbers of frightened settlers. At the height of the fighting, it appeared that the tribal confederation's overwhelming numerical superiority would end in the white settlement's complete destruction in the region. This would have been a virtual certainty if the Confederacy had successfully drawn the Cherokee into their cause. Instead, the Cherokee gave in to the lure of English weapons and other goods and chose to aid the Carolinians. And in a further stroke of good fortune, the besieged settlers all also managed to gain support from Virginia, right? An event not assured in this age of intense colonial rivalries. The tide turned against the Yamasee. Damn. So let's go back and look at that picture again. So not only are there English fighting on this side, there are Cherokees fighting on this side. Fighting against the Yamasee. You see the priest right here. Got him laid out, stretched out. He was the first to get it. These seem like warriors. I see the shield and the spear. They laid them down. But the Cherokee got with their white brothers, turned on the Yamasee. Could that explain why they pale faces today? I'm talking about the Cherokee, not the Aniuwea. Right? Something different. He said the tide turned against the Yamasee, who were slowly pushed from South Georgia back into their ancestral lands in northern Florida. There, the tribe was virtually annihilated by protracted warfare with the Creeks, but some members were absorbed by the Seminole. The Yamasee War took a heavy toll in South Carolina. Such terror had been instilled in the minds of frontiersmen that it would take nearly 10 years for resettlement to occur in many areas. The warfare also brought a sharp change to the region's economy. Originally, farming had been the settlers' primary occupation, but the livestock supply had been so drastically depleted that many farms disappeared. In their absence, enterprising South Carolinians turned to the forest as a source of naval stores, tar, pitch, and turpentine, and soon developed a lucrative trade with England. Later, the economy would develop rice and indigo as its primary products. What about the Tsoyaha or the Yuchi? The Tsoyaha are not well represented in the history books. This is for several reasons. First, while the Yuchi were a large and powerful tribe, according to the reports of DeSoto's expedition, evidence indicates that disease epidemics ravaged the Yuchi after the Spanish men visited the eastern Tennessee area. The Yuchi were known to have widely scattered villages that ranged from Florida to Illinois. Now, that's crazy because this reminds me, I was just talking, I think it was with my brother OTK and Sharice. That's a matter of fact, that's who it was. And we had found out that Red Fox was an Indian, and his mother was an Indian who claimed to be a Seminole Indian. But he grew up in Illinois, in Chicago. Huh? Could this be why she's saying what she's saying? I just thought that was interesting, right? Making that Florida to Illinois connection, you wouldn't normally make that connection. So it's crazy that He was born a Seminole in St. Louis, but raised up in Chicago, but his people from Florida. And from the Carolina coast to the Mississippi River. Legend has it that the tribe split in half over politics, and the fate of the remaining half is not known. This actually seems to have happened several times over the past, as portions of the tribe were absorbed into the Shawnee, the Lenape, the Cherokee, and the Creek peoples, as well as into the dominant culture. We do know that for at least 6 to 8 centuries, much of what is now Tennessee was occupied by a tribe with cultural characteristics that, like the Mouse Creek site, had significant elements of the Yuchian cultural footprint. The Yuchi villages were often intermingled with those of neighboring tribes. It is widely theorized that the Yuchi and their widely scattered villages throughout the southeastern United States represented the original inhabitants prior to the influx of the Muskogean, the Iroquois, and Algonquin peoples. The Yuchi themselves vow that only the Algonquin were already here when they came. And called them the old ones still. It is certain that the Yuchi were among the mound building people, therefore among the oldest recognizable permanent residents in the southeastern United States. They held a pivotal role in their rather sophisticated society as priests, leaders, traders in what was a very metropolitan culture. The Yuchi. Get a look at this. Said they spread out from Florida to Illinois, throughout the whole southeast and Midwest. Kipahagua, the supreme commander of the Yuchi Indian Nation, painted in the 1730s. Look at that. These are Yuchi Indians by German painter Philip George Friedrich von Reck, 1730s. Man, is he blowing on that piece? You already know what he got up in there. He blowing on Zaza. Dog got the old school musket. He did. Keep playing. He got the little pea shooter. Get you together. Blowing on Zaz. These are just descriptions and depictions of the Aboriginal Americans. Types and phenotypes. But remember, irregardless to where they are all Indians. Irregardless to that skin color, they're all Indians. But some of them are first, some of them are second, just like the Yuchi. Just said, they call the Algonquins the old ones. How many times Cosmon and told y'all? Algonquin, the ancient name, is really the anglicized way of saying Egoquim, which is the name of your creator in the Paleo-Algonquin. Look, this is an Indian camp by German painter Philip George Friedrich von Reck, 1730s again. Now, don't be fooled. Everybody didn't live like this. We had high-rise buildings and adobe structures that's still in use today, over 2,000 years old now today. Still in use. But in the 1730s, look at that copper color skin. Look at that long, black, lank hair. After suffering many fatalities due to epidemic disease and warfare in the 18th century, several surviving Yuchi were removed to Indian Territory in the 1830s, together with their allies, the Muskogee Creek. Some who remained in the South were classified as what? Free persons of color. Others were enslaved. Some remnant group migrated to Florida, where they became part of the recently formed Seminole tribe of Florida. Today, the Yuchi live primarily in the northeastern Oklahoma area, where many are enrolled as citizens in the federally recognized Muskogee Creek Nation. Some Yuchi are enrolled as members of other federally recognized tribes, such as the absentee Shawnee tribe and the Cherokee Nation. Look at that. This is Sayakas Uka. This is a Cherokee, painted in the 1760s. Cherokee. Ever wonder why the Blackfoot were called the Blackfoot Indian? This is a Blackfoot warrior, pictured by Carl Bodmer, 1840. Look at that copper skin tone. Look at that long black lank hair. Does he look like any other people groups in America? This is James Oglethorpe presenting Tomochichi and other Yamasee Indians to the Georgia trustees, July 3rd, 1734. Look at these people. Look at this young fellow. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit. This is the Yamasee. Look at this young fellow right here. James Edward Oglethorpe presenting Yamasee Chief Tomochichi and the other Yamasee Indians to the Georgia trustees in London. This is James Edwards Oglethorpe. That makes sense. That makes sense. He was raised so he could speak to both people. This is why he dressed like them, but he looked like them. And his name is now James Edward Oglethorpe. This is the Yamasee Chief from Ochichi right here. Look, he looked like a nigga too. Looked like a nice-skinned Negro himself. They say Oglethorpe is holding the hand of the young. Okay, this is Oglethorpe. They say Oglethorpe is holding the hand of a young boy who, like Sinoki, the wife of Chief Tomochichi, is in European dress. All right, here she go right here. Thus, the boy may be their nephew, Tunahawi, right? Tunahawi, but he did the same thing. He was able to speak to both people as a translator. The Indians were regarded as celebrities, feted by the trustees, interviewed by the king and queen, entertained by the Archbishop of Canterbury at Lambeth Palace, and made available to meet the public. All but two of them posed with a large number of trustees at the Georgia office for the painter William Bellrest. One of the absent Indians died of smallpox. He was buried in a burial plot of St. John's in Westminster. Interesting. Supposedly an engraving of the Yamakwa chief Tomochichi and his nephew Tunahawi by engraver John Favor. This engraving is false, however. The full-size painting by William Bellrest has two children in it, neither of which resemble in any way the boy in this sketch. So this is a later trying to make these niggas look like the Mongol types. Right? Wrong. The title of the engraving, Tomochachi Miko, or King of the Yamakwa, and Tonahawi, his nephew, son of the Miko of Ichitsa. Right? So this is a fake painting, an engraving. Probably done years later. Please note, according to the book, Transatlantic Encounters, American Indians in Britain from 1500 to 1776 by Alden T. Vaughan, Tomochichi was 90 years old in 1734. He was 90. All that proves is that the albinos do indeed make it up as they go. The question is, which, if any of it, is true? The Examiner, British researcher, probes mystery of lost Native American artifact. Right? We ain't gonna go into that. We can go into it. We'll go into it. The Rosetta Stone of North America. The English translation of this hand-painted vellum containing a lost Native American writing system requires 8 printed pages. With the encouragement of His Royal Highness Charles, Prince of Wales, a search has begun on both sides of the Atlantic to find the original artifact, or at least a copy of the writing system. It has been misplaced for over 230 years. The year is 1733. So they're talking about a writing system that was lost to them since roughly 1500. Growing increasingly fearful of combined Spanish, French, and Indian attacks on its vulnerable white population, the province of South Carolina agreed to renounce claims on territory southwest of the Savannah River so that a new colony of yeoman farmers could be established on its frontier. Roughly 60% of South Carolina's population was either African or Native American slaves. These suppressed peoples would be highly inclined to assist the French and Spanish. In 1715, without the direct assistance of European powers, the Yamasee Indians had almost succeeded in wiping the southern part of Carolina off the face of the earth. Back then, there was no North or South Carolina. A new alliance of tribes in the Carolina mountains switched sides and attacked the Yamasee. This is the Cherokee. just at the moment when Charleston faced annihilation. This alliance was now called the who? The Cherokees. So when you talk about that 5 civilized tribes and I'm Cherokee and all that, and be careful. Be careful. These people who become civilized, and for the most part, they not your people. Remember, the name of the people is Aniyawiya. Right? We're not saying that there was no people called Cherokees. We're just saying, look what they did to you. When it was time to either get down and lay down with freedom, they chose slavery. And you know what the English turned around and did to them, right? Don't you think they deserve it then? Now that you know this? Just a thought. The new colony called Georgia, in honor of King George I, would have no slaves. Its first town, Savannah, had been designed in advance as a military bastion. Its unique plan maximized the defensive effectiveness of artillery. All males in the colony agreed to be members of the militia in turn for being given free land. Ooh-wee. The colony's board of trustees planned to recruit thousands of Englishmen in debtors' prisons, plus German Protestants being persecuted in Catholic regions to settle the countryside. Unlike Maryland, Virginia, South and North Carolina, there would be no plantation aristocracy. At least that was the plan. The key to this colony's success would be a good relation with the Muscogan peoples of the interior. Prior to the Yamasee War, they had been divided up into provinces of various sizes. Their strongest province was itself an alliance known to the British as the Ohlone Creek Indians. At about the same time in 1718, at the Mount Alliance was given the name that the Mountain Alliance was given the name Cherokees. The Muskogans formed their own regional confederacy from provinces speaking several languages and dialects. The Muscogan Confederacy was not a tribe at this time, but would eventually evolve into the Creek Indians. Nevertheless, in 1733, this alliance contained the largest and most culturally advanced indigenous population in North America. It claimed all the former lands of its members between the Smoky Mountains in Carolina southward to St. Augustine, Florida. Expansion of the Cherokee Alliance into western North Carolina had forced many Muscogan provinces to relocate to Alabama and Georgia. Its members would not be called the Creek Indians until the 1740s. The founding of the province of Georgia. Savannah was settled in February 1733 on land given to the British Crown by a small Muscogan tribe known as the Yamakro. Its leader, Tamachichi, in English, had been banished from Muscogan Confederacy for some unknown incident. Oh, so they got the outcast nigga and posted him up like he the real chief, but he wasn't. About 1728, Tomochichi created the Yamakros from an assortment of Muscogan and Yamasee Indians after the two alliances disagreed over future relations with Great Britain and Spain. One of them didn't want to rock with them, and Tomochichi did. So they recognized Tomochichi, not the other dudes, because Tomochichi was willing to sell out. This Yamasee village will remain adjacent to Savannah until the American Revolution. Immediately, Yamasee and Governor Edward James Oglethorpe became close friends. In November of 1733, Yamasee invited the highest leaders of the Muscogan Confederacy to Savannah to meet his friend James Oglethorpe. Yamasee's prestigious new status as a close ally of Great Britain brought him reinstatement into the Confederacy. You see this? British officials were shocked to learn that the Indians in the interior were not one ethnic group. You see it? But many peoples with separate histories reaching back over 2,000 years. They were the vestiges of the mound building era. The leaders agreed to be steadfast allies of Great Britain. The Ohlone province, or the Okute in the DeSoto Chronicles, agreed to give Oglethorpe all their land that he needed along the Atlantic coast to establish a healthy colony. That's crazy. That don't even sound right. You can tell these wasn't your people. Governor Oglethorpe, right, immediately sent a long letter back to the British government that described their new allies, who seemed very different from any Indians that the British had dealt with before. He was astonished that they were skilled in writing, math, astronomy, land surveying, without being taught these skills by Europeans. He told the Prime Minister that he was convinced that these new allies were the descendants of an ancient civilization. Story ain't always cracked up to what it's be. Some of our own people were selling out. But think about it. If the British are in your favor and willing to work with you, and you got Spain and the French on the other half trying to kill you, well, then who you gonna rock with? You gonna rock with the English. So you gotta kind of, even before we call them sellouts, we gotta give them the benefit of the doubt. Were they doing the best thing for them? Right? We see that all these people didn't even see themselves as the same people with different ethnicities, right? Being that they had been mixed up, they'd been mixing for thousands of years. Here go the migration legend of the Cashita people. Early in 1734, a delegation of Muscogan Confederacy leaders returned to Savannah to confirm their alliance with Oglethorpe. His delegation was led by Chikili, the war chief of the Appalachian, right? Who formerly lived in the gold fields of the Georgia mountains, but now lived in the region northwest of Savannah. The highlight of a friendship ceremony was the presentation of a vellum made from a bison calf skin. On this vellum was painted in the Muskogee writing system the history of the Cashita people. They were late arrivals to the southeast. The Chikili read the vellum. Indian trader John Musgrove and his beautiful Indian wife, Kusa Panakisa, translated the legend into English, while a notary wrote down information. The Creek Indian writing system was capable of transmitting all verb tenses and complete thoughts. The Cashita people sometimes calls themselves Koshti. Like Koshti. In their Itsate Creek language. They were originally vassals of Coosa, the great town visited by Hernando de Soto in the summer of 1540.
At some time in the past, they moved northward to live among the Tallahassee Creeks in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, then moved to an abandoned town on the Yamasee River near present-day Murphy, North Carolina. Juan Pedro visited them in the fall of 1567. He called them the Koshi. In their migration ledger, the Koshita claim to have sacked a great capital city on the side of Georgia's highest mountain, Brasstown Ball. The Koshita description of this town seems to match the Track Rock Terrace complex site. Governor Oglethorpe immediately recognized the scientific importance, of the Koshita vellum. He dispatched it to England for safekeeping. It created quite a stir in England. The American Gazetter newspaper published a full translation and described it as written with a peculiar red and black characters, not pictures as normally seen on American Indian skin paintings. It reportedly was mounted in a frame on a wall of the Georgia office in Westminster Palace as long as Georgia was a colony, then misplaced. See the following URL, blah, 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 blah. The ongoing research into the cultural connections between the Southeast and Mesoamerica also sparked a renewed interest in the long-forgotten bison calf vellum. Tamachichi's name was Itsemaya. It means merchant dog. Of particular interest is the statement in contemporary London papers that the Creek Indians' writing system consisted of peculiar red and black characters. During the Terminal Classic and Post-Classic periods, the Itsamaya used a simplified Maya writing system consisting of red and black characters. A mineral mine in Georgia was found on the buildings at Palenque, the Classic period capital of the Itzamayas in Chiapas. Ooh-wee, I can't even make it up that good. The premiere of the American Unearthed on December 21st, 2012, about the Creek Indian Maya connection, had the highest viewership of any program ever watched on History Channel H2. It is now being viewed by people around the world intrigued by the research. His Royal Highness Charles Prince of Wales directed one of his personal secretaries at Clarence House to assist in the search for the lost Buffalo calf vellum. Clarence House is the official residence of Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall. The staff at Clarence House reported on January 28, 2013, has already turned up some previously unknown details about the lost vellum. Tamachichi and several family members were guests of the Archbishop of Canterbury when they visited England in 1734. His barge was at their disposal. In a ceremony on August 18, 1734, Tamachichi and Governor Oglethorpe formally presented the vellum to Archbishop William Wake at Lambeth Palace. The vellum has been the official property of the Church of England since then. It may be in the church archives rather than in the British Museum. In a recent conversation with the Friends of Oglethorpe Society, Clarence House official Graham Davies has learned that the Lutheran minister, the Reverend Martin Bolzius, copied portions of the Creek writing system, then included them in personal correspondences to Lord Edgemont in England. Bolzius was the leader of the Salzburger colony at New Ebenezer, Georgia. The next step in the research process will require the laborious study of archives held by the Church of England, British Museum, and British government in the James Oglethorpe Room at the Godalming Museum in Surrey, UK. Now, the results of this research could again turn the world of archaeology upside down. American anthropologists have traditionally refused to label the southeastern Indians as civilized because they did not have a writing system until the early 1800s when Sequoyah created the Cherokee syllabary. There will not be a whole lot of anthropologists can say when an official at Clarence House presents the Creek writing system to the world. This is a female savage of Tierra del Fuego, right? Or the land of fire. Engraving from a drawing by Johann Eel from Ebenezer Syllabes, Universal System of Natural History, 1794. Tierra del Fuego is an archipelago off the southernmost tip. Remember the Fuegans? We talked about the Fuegans. It's off the southernmost tip of South America mainland across the Strait of Magellan. The archipelago is divided between Chile and Argentina. Right? That's an Indian from the bottom of America, from the bottom of the map. Yeah, but Cosmon, I always hear you talking about nationality, heritage, culture, and ethnicity of the Aboriginal people of America. Do you in Ohlone even have any history of the ancient PALEOAMERICans in it? And to that, I would say yes. Not only does it, Ohlone is the only book in the world that says the Negro is the Indian, but it goes on to describe him. Now, the Paleo-Algonquin word for Indian is Angui, or upright man, and is where we source the word Negro from today. Right? So the Angui came. Now, remember, we're describing, getting a depiction and description of the Aboriginal of America, right? Ohlone goes on to describe it. It says the Angui came suddenly, or the American Indian came suddenly into the world. By the thousands and thousands they came in the north, south, east, and west. Now we're just talking about North America. And they had long, black, coarse hair. Long, black, coarse hair. Coarse. When we go pull up long, black, coarse hair, who do we see? Instantly. Does she look copper colored? Huh? Long, black, coarse hair. Also lank hair. Right? Look who we seeing. Right? Now remember, we're getting descriptions of people in America, right? But when we look up people in America who have long, black, coarse hair, look at the images. Long, black, coarse.
A lot of sisters in there. A whole lot of sisters when you pull that up. It's only one people in America with long, black, coarse hair, right? But this kill it right here, but their skin is brown, copper colored. Their arms are short, which means they're symmetrical, right? Which means they're athletic, which also means if you symmetrical outside, you're symmetrical inside. So you will be a very spiritually high people. Look, very proud was these American Indians who are brown skinned with long black nigger hair. They would not mix back with the Ohlone, their forefathers, and they dared not mix back with the sacred people, the mound builders, their mothers, because of the commandments of the Lord. So the Anguigan, right? The iron leaning Gan, or the modern Ohlone, or the Negro, the American Indian, became a new race in the world, having all the symmetry of the iron and all the savageness of the Ohlone. These are the mound builders. These are the megalithic builders of America. These are generally short people. These are generally tall people. And look, this is key. Being feeders on flesh and fish, fell under the dominion of the angels of the lower heavens, and they rejected the Lord God. You ain't never praised the God. So if anybody try to come up here saying, oh, we had all them stories from Christianity is us. No, we didn't have that. We never praised the Lord or God. Oh, we had Islam over here in America. No, you didn't. We never praised a Lord or a God. All that indoctrination comes much later. We are talking about at the foundation of the American Indian as we know him today, roughly 20 to 18,000 BC. This is the time I'm giving you, right? But let's go show some of the culture in it, right? Let's go show some of the culture. And do you still practice some of this culture today? Right? Watch this. Then the angels of the lower heaven came and taught these Anguis, these American Indians, who are brown skinned with long black nigger hair. So the American Negroes, they came and taught the American Negro the secret of making eunuchs of their enemies. The Ohlones, your forefathers, the giant Negro megalithic builders of America. These would be the misunderstandings of who you call your Olmec. The Ohlones, right? With long arms, teaching them what did the angels teach them? How to make spears and bows with arrows and darts, fishing hooks and nets. Teaching them how to make fire by striking flint stones. We know this is 100% Aboriginal American history, right? Before they even, mind you, this is 19, I will just be fair, 19,000 to 16,000 BC. That's 21,000 to 18,000 BC. Years ago, excuse me. And look, they're making bow and arrows, spears, darts, fishing hooks and nets, and how to make fire by striking flint stones. Purely Aboriginal culture, still practiced today. But look, you ever heard of a barbecue? Do we still practice this culture today? Teaching them how to cook flesh and fish to make it more palatable. And this was the very first cooked food for man since the days of the flood. Now, that don't make sense until we understand we talking about 19 to 16,000 BC.
right? So let's just say 16,000 BC. The flood took place 22,553 BC. That's 6,000 years. So let this sink in. The giant Ahuans, who we know ate meat, ate it raw. That also means that the Anguis, the Ions, the mound builders, who we know were didn't eat flesh or kill anything, ate a raw food diet for almost 6,000 years after the flood. Raw. Because why? Because the Indians were the very first people to cook anything after the flood. We still practice this today. It is called a barbecue. By the way, the word barbecue is an Algonquin-based word. Right? That culture was here, and it was first here. That right? See, on top of that, Jaja don't miss nothing. Because he already gone on to describe that the Negro of America is the Indian of America, right? Phenotypically, right? But it hit different when he go on to tell you, you are the only one in the world like you. So if they come from somewhere else, or if there are people who are your blood stock on any other place in the world, you, by that default, you can't be an American Indian. You can only come from here. And by that, we are learning right now, you are the only one of your type in the world. This is why when they try to say that we Africans and all that stuff, we can clearly look at those people and say, no, they're not. They are not what I am, and I am not what they are. Maybe the white people we sort of look similar, but from niggas and Negroes, we don't look anything alike. From American Indians to Africa, our hair is totally different. We grow long beards, afros, dreadlocks. You dig what I'm talking about? Highly advanced. Many parts of Africa still don't even have running water. All right? We are not the same people, but look what the Creator said. He said, for I will leave one race of Ahuans on the planet. The Ahuans. Where you gonna leave them at, Jaja? In Guatemala, the place of the 4 tribes, or the North American Indian in North America. And he gonna leave them till when? Even till the Cosmine era. We in the Cosmine era now, and will be for the next 3,000 years. Oh, you ain't know? Cosmine is now. He says, I'm only going to leave one. And let's go and show who the Ahuan is. What do they describe him as in Owaspy? The Ahuan, the half-breed between the mound builders and the Druks, right? Who are they? The copper-colored race of America, right? Commonly called who? The North American Indian, right? Who has long, black, coarse nigger hair, but they gotta have this brown skin and be copper colored. They must be very athletic and pretty. They must have all the symmetry of the iron, so be a very high raised, intelligent, and spiritual people, and yet all the savageness of the Ahoan, so we would be also the best fighters, athletes, and combat people on the planet. Is this true? Also, you never praise the God or Lord. So is it any coincidence that the churches is falling these days? You can't even get a youngster to go to the church. I couldn't pay him. You ain't never praised the God. You always were the most intelligent people. You always knew Geechee and Manito were not the same thing. You always knew that the creator or the great spirit and God wasn't the same thing. You always knew that the great spirit created God and that you would be God in time to come. So God is hence nothing but a man, and hence nothing to praise. You have always known this. This is why you shaking the God spell today. This is why you searching for that higher light today. And you finding it here on the Jehovah Chronicles. Can't drive this home no more, right? It hit different when your creator, the creator of sun, moons, stars, quasars, black holes, galaxies, and the entire universe, tell God. Because remember, this is the creator telling God, I will leave one race of the copper-colored people on earth in North America, and they are the North American Indians, and I'm going to leave them to this young guy named Cosmon Cal. Come out and start revealing these truths. A remnant of the Algonquin himself, son of Hyonga. A light bearer, truth bringer, begins to bring this information out once again, revealing the copper-colored Aboriginals of America are not African. They don't come from anywhere. And guess what? You are the only one like you in the world. But look at this skin color chart, right? We want to show you, remember, they said you get an iron and a drug, and it make a ahun, right? So you got white and yellow primarily. These is nigger stocks. And so is this. These is Indians, so, right? These is your mound builders. These is the descendants. No different than these, except these niggas get it, these niggas don't. Notice, everybody else in the world has a druk who is brown. Don't matter if he in Africa or Arabia, Persia, Japhet. Everybody, every other, would be your regular man. It's brown. But in America, in Guatemala, he black. They go on to produce, remember, the copper-colored people, remember. He said, he gonna leave the only Ahoan. I will leave one race of Ahoans, right, in North America called the American Indian. And to prove that these people are not your modern Native Americans, right, the Native Americans don't like to be called Indian. Let that sink in. But look down here in Guatemala. You got an Ahoan who is copper colored reddish, right? This is circa 6,000 BC, right? Before Cosmon, right? This is circa 6,000 years before Cosmon would be roughly 4,000 BC, right? 3953 BC. That would be 6 years. In America, the people are reddish copper brown. Look at what color they is, circa 300 before Cosmon. So this is Cosmon started 1848, 300 years before Cosmon would be 1548. Look, man's color, reddish copper, still in America, right? That being said, I want to end it off with this, right? Look at what they said. No, he's going with a settled. This is more proof that we've already been here, right? Remember, you don't get your movement for your out of Africa theory before 60,000 BC, right? We are finding in America anatomically correct humans 130,000 BC. Now look, let's check this out real quick. Black settled America before 130,000 BC. The study the humans were in America 100,000 years earlier than we thought by Gisela Crespo, right? The remains of a mastodon discovered during a routine excavation in California shows possible human activity in North America 130,000 years ago, or about 115,000 years earlier than previously thought. They thought these people came over here. No. When the Mongoloid got here, these niggas asked them, where did y'all come from? Who is you niggas? Is y'all cool? It was already here looking like this before the Mongoloid genotypes came over from the Pacific. These is Indians hunting in San Francisco, California, right? Now, the paleontologist with the San Diego Natural History Museum discovered the remains of an elephant-like animal, right? Mind you, this is not really an elephant, right? This is not an elephant. It's an elephant-like animal. It's actually a mastodon, right? There's a difference between a woolly mammoth and a mastodon, right? A woolly mammoth is more like a elephant, right? It's more tropical. It sleeps standing up. It acts and lives its life just like an elephant does today, right? And primarily lived in many of the same places, right? But this large animal that this human was found up under, right, is actually a mastodon. A mastodon is not an elephant. A mastodon is more like a pig. And it lives like a pig in the mud, and it all and totally different than how an elephant lives. The mastodon roots in the ground. It digs holes in the ground. They have major caves in Brazil that they think were dug by ancient sloths. They were actually dug by mastodons, right? He said, but it wasn't until now that scientists were able to accurately date the findings and possibly rewrite the history of the new world as we know it. This is a whole new ball game. Steve Holwyn, co-director of the Center for American Paleolithic Research and the paper's lead author, told CNN, the discovery changes the understanding of when humans reached North America. The study to be published this week in the science journal Nature said numerous limb bones fragments of a young male, what I tell you it was, a mastodon, not a woolly mammoth, found at the site, showed spiral fractures indicating they were broken while fresh. So some niggas eating a pig shouldn't be at a barbecue, shouldn't be too far of a stretch, right? This is some mastodon bones found at the site. Even though it is very large, this is the mastodon. It is not an elephant, right? These are elephants, right? Africa savanna elephant, Loxodonta africana. This is Mammuthus primigenius and Mammut americana. These are different animals. Actually, all three are different animals, but this one lives different. These two live. These are pachyderms, right? They do the same thing, live the same life, right? Same areas. This is a pig and lives like a pig, right? The scientists, they say, found what appeared to be hammerstones and stone anvils at the site, showing that ancient humans had the manual skill and knowledge to use stone tools to extract the animal's bone marrow, and possibly use his bone to make tools. The site was named Cerruti Mastodon Site. Y'all look up the Cerruti site. Right down here in San Diego, Southern California, at the La Brea Tar Pits. Right? And it was named the Cerruti Mastodon Site in honor of Richard Cerruti, who made the discovery and led the excavation. Advanced radiometric dating technology allows scientists to determine the mastodon bones belong to the late Pleistocene period, or 130,000 years old, with the margin of error of plus or minus 9,400 years. The bones and several teeth show clear signs of having been deliberately broken by humans with manual dexterity and experiential knowledge. Ohlone said of the press release, experts agreed that the earliest records of human ancestors in North America were or is about 15,000 years old, but the discovery of the Cerruti site shows that human ancestors were in the New World 10 times that length of time, said paleontologist Lawrence Vacera. The 11 scientists involved in the study told CNN it's too early to tell the impact of the new findings. For now, they want the general audience to see it, understand it, and for their peers to study it and even challenge it. Right? Well, remember, this is some years ago, and since then they have done more work. Now, since this time, much work has been done on it, right? And the research team find cobbles and broken mastodon bones lying together at the site. Uranium-thorium dating, right? Remember, they did carbon dating at first. Uranium-thorium dating of bones from the site estimates a dating of around 130,700 years, plus or minus 9,000 years ago. For the Cerruti Mastodon site, the research team claims that the cobbles found at the site were used as hammerstones and anvils. With that being said, I think we done dug deep enough on this one. Right? This is Jehovah Chronicles, number 174. Right? Descriptions of the Aboriginal Americans. All praises to the Great Spirit, Jehovah, the all, the is, and ever shall be, the great destroyer and creator, Alpha and Omega, forever and ever. Peace to the creator gang, right? Peace to all the righteous gods and Nirvanian goddesses. Love, light, and balance from your brother. Right? That being said, take you out with some new heat. Right? Shout out to boy Lushu. This is that Guided by a Waspy. Let's check this out. Let's go.
Guided by the wasp insight. Every word, every line, every page I read, transforming my soul, planting a seed. Embracing the wisdom of the ancient text. In every chapter feeling blessed. The truth it unveils, the secrets it holds, connecting me to the universe's most. Living in harmony, in peace and love, enlightened, shining from above. Oh, I speak, guiding me on. In the stillness of my soul, a new dawn. Embracing the light, letting go of the dark. And every moment, creating my mark. Through trials and tribulations I stand tall. The wasp's teachings breaking every wall. My spirit soaring, my heart at peace. In the wisdom of a wasp finding release. Aligned with the cosmos in perfect flow. Living by its principles, letting my light glow. Harmony and love, the essence of my being. Oh, wasp, guiding me on. In the stillness of my soul, a new dawn. Embracing the light, letting go of the dark. In every moment, creating my mark. Oh, wasp, guiding me on. In the stillness of my soul, a new dawn. Embracing the light, letting go